another gloomy morning to start the week off. It's cloudy. It's currently 38 degrees out here in New York City. Expected rain and snow later on this morning and later on today. It is Monday, January 29th. Good morning! What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What is going on, everybody? Renee here. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy start of a brand new week. January 29th. Couple of days left in the month. In this brand new year, 2024, year of our Lord. What is going on, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in. For those of you who are here or those of you who may be watching in the replay, hope y'all had a wonderful weekend. I know for a fact I had a very nice chill weekend. We'll get into some of that in a little bit as I do some maintenance here. Lenise Freeman, good morning from Jersey. Well, good morning to you. Whereabouts in Jersey? Across the pond, as I say it, as I call it from here. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. Having a great morning. All right. Let me know how the audio is, y'all, because for some reason, I don't know, maybe I'm hearing feedback, or maybe that's just me, or maybe I'm not awake yet. Maybe this coffee hasn't kicked in yet, and I'm feeling kind of nuts. Maybe I'm going a little nuts. Lenise, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly too. Lenise is coming in from Sussex County. All right. Love having you here. Have you tuned in because you want to see my live reaction to this Ghostbusters Frozen Empire trailer? Because I'm excited. When I heard that the new trailer was going to drop this morning, I'm like, oh, awesome. Love doing these reactions. Love checking it out live with all of y'all. You know, that's what I do here on the channel. I react to trailers. And if I have a chance to do it live, then that is equally as awesome. So he says, sure do. Excited. PQ in the hizzy. It's just me. Yeah, it's just me. I know. I hear voices in my head. I hear voices in my head all the time. But that's neither here nor there. That's not why we're here. We're here because we want to check out this new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire trailer. So, since I'm doing this live, there is a chance I will stop and kind of pause it to make comments as I see fit. Usually when I do these trailer reactions on the channel, it's just played all the way through, and then I give my thoughts and comments at the end of it. But since this is live, let's talk about it, all that. So I apologize if I interrupt it. There's a chance I may not at all, and I'll just talk over it. But I just wanted to put that out there in case. So y'all don't just get angry at me and say, why is he pausing the video? Stop it. It's so annoying. All right. So let's check this bad boy out. Let's get it out of the way because I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. All right, let me switch the screen here. All right. I haven't seen it yet. I just opened up the tab, had it ready. So let's go. Let's check this bad boy out. Y'all ready? Let's do this.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
Tall, dark, and horny at 12 o'clock.
Tall, dark, and horny. Good job.
I've been waiting 40 years for this.
They called themselves Ghostbusters. According to
I love the throwbacks.
save the world.
I love the throwbacks.
And who is found to carry the torch? Descendants of Egon Spengler.
Hell yeah.
You have a miner hanging out the side of a moving vehicle.
Who's talking right now?
Laser gun indiscriminately.
As a proton.
Oh, wait. What? Hold on. Whoa. We got Jonathan Peck. We got the man with no penis. What? Oh, yes. Not Jonathan Walter. Sorry. Oh my God. This man has no dick. That's right. Oh, wow. Are you kidding me? Already off the bat. And I was wondering, I'm like, who the hell's talking? Oh, that's the best. I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. Calm down. Calm down. All right. But that is awesome. I love that.
Permanently.
Has a proton pack.
It's completely safe.
I wouldn't say completely safe.
The Ghostbusters are finished. Right. Well, overruled.
Sustained.
Nice. Nice back and forth there. I like it.
Strange old things.
Correct on both counts.
Of course.
You just hit the jackpot.
What is it?
What is that?
Is what's inside of it?
Oh. Wow.
The parables tell of an unimaginable evil commanding an army of ghosts.
That's really freaky.
Killed by fear itself.
Like literally scared to death.
That is one crazy looking creature. I love it.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
That's right. Bring the
If any help.
Oh, you got Janine dressed up too? What? Oh no, not at the library again.
If there's something weird, what are people gonna call?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Nice. All right. You got all the nostalgia
Tell you
throwbacks.
something else. What? Buster makes me feel good. Makes me feel good.
Paul Rudd with the line, "Bustin' makes me feel good." I love that. That is the best. That is awesome. Awesome. I love that you have the old school crew back. Everyone's dressed up, so everyone's basically a Ghostbuster. The only person we're missing here is Rick Moranis, and we all know he doesn't want to act anymore. It's unfortunate. Can we get him back, please?
Heads up. Tall, dark, and horny at 12 o'clock.
Still, that is a great line. That's such a Bill Murray line. Oh, what is it? We got a drone. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a drone trap. We have a drone trap. We have new tech. I love it. I love it. This is the best. I'm seeing all of these cool things. Oh, man. All right. Sorry. What? Oh, is this Slimer? Slimer! All right, that's dope. That is dope. Wow. Woo, I'm so excited. We have Walter Peck. We have everyone back. We have everyone in the damn suit. Everyone is busting. Everyone is feeling good from busting. I'm about to bust.
I'm gonna come.
What the hell? That was exciting. That was so much fun. So much fun. Yep. I already said it during the Movie Time podcast. And if you're not familiar with that podcast, make sure to check it out on your podcast platform of choice. Just type in Low Key Geek, where me and my buddy Blake, we talk about movies every week. But we talked about most anticipated for this year. I said Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was definitely one of them, just because I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, and this is fantastic. This is a way to get butts in seats, in my opinion. Now, I know the previous one didn't do so hot in the theaters. It did okay, but I think also that was during a time where people are still not comfortable going back to theaters just yet. But we have Lanice nerding out in the chat. She's excited. PQ is sold. The Dickless is back. That's right. Let's go.
I'm gonna come.
What a trailer. What a fun trailer. That is so much fun. I've been reading more and more about the premise and the concepts behind this movie. And everyone keeps saying that they are taking a lot of inspiration from the real Ghostbusters cartoon series from back in the day. Obviously, if you are a fan of Ghostbusters, you grew up watching it. I grew up watching it. That was like must-watch TV for me, whether it was during the week on Fox 5 or if it was like over the weekend, Saturday mornings on, I believe it was ABC 7 here where I'm coming from. And there were different tones between the two cartoons, right? Like the weekly ones were a little bit more like, family friendly, more kiddie. And I've always felt like the one on Saturday was a little bit more mature, just a tad bit, depending on what you were watching there. But when you look at the creature here, the big horny guy, he does, or they do, look like something out of the cartoon, out of the animated series. It looks like a kind of an imagination that was created for that show. So I love that they're kind of open to taking all of these inspirations from all the different facets of Ghostbusters lore that we grew up watching or reading. Maybe there's some comic book influences there. Who knows? We'll see. Let's see. Lenise said, I went to the theaters for Afterlife. So worth it. Absolutely. I was there too. And I mean, seeing Ghostbusters on the big screen is like the best thing possible. And of course, like in these years, we never thought we would get another Ghostbusters. I mean, it is a franchise that, Sony will be foolish not to continue on with and not to push it through. But when we got the Ghostbusters film with the female Ghostbusters, right? I was a little afraid that they've kind of lost the premise and idea behind the whole Ghostbusters thing. They were trying to be a little bit more funny, a little bit more campy and cheesy. Plus, that thing was just all over the place. I didn't dislike it because of the cast. I thought the cast did what they could do, the best that they could. It was really the writing and the directing behind it. It was just not a Ghostbusters film. It didn't feel like it. Even though they tried to do the homages there with some of the creatures that we saw from the past movies and from the cartoon, but those were just thrown in there just to be like, hey, look, there's that. And hey, look, there's that. Plus you had the original, guys show up, but not playing themselves, playing like these alternate characters. I'm just like, what are they doing? That thing was a hot mess. But when Afterlife came out and they decided to carry on the lore from the Ghostbusters films, introducing, I believe her name is Phoebe, right? She is the niece or granddaughter of Egon. You have Egon's daughter, her mom, in there, right? Having it carry on to the next generation through that lineage. I mean, that is just really brilliant. And then to introduce the whole kids aspect to it all, like I love podcasts. Finn Wolfhard's character is okay. I think, he's takes some warming up to. But to kind of have these kids bring on the new generation, the addition of Paul Rudd, I thought was brilliant. He is your pure comic relief in the films now, which is great. And to learn about what happened with the original crew, where you have Winston, who's like the money man now. He's like the rich guy. He is funding whatever is happening. He was paying for the rent for the house. He was helping Ray out. He was basically like the money guy. And all he wants to do is, reunite the team, put the team back together, make the Ghostbusters something again, which is such a complete circle of a journey for Winston, because I'll never forget when I first saw him in the original movie, and even his character, he was like, I don't know anything about this thing. I don't know these guys. When they got arrested, he's like, I don't know them. I just work here. I want my own lawyer. These guys are crazy. He was so like not in with all of that stuff. And now to have him just have it so close to his heart and be passionate about not only, the crew, but just the nostalgia behind it all and what impact they made on the city. So I love how they made that character do this complete turnaround and full circle moment. Plus Bill Murray is in it. I don't know. I was very hesitant about them having Bill Murray back again in this film because, you know, he said multiple times he doesn't want to do these movies anymore or whatever. He showed up in the last one. Maybe that was more like I'm going to do you a favor, you know, because, you know, the Reitmans are still involved in it. But seeing him in here, in this like little snippet, you know, the little Murray kind of blurb that he had there, I don't know. It looked like he's having fun, and it looks like he was having a good time. So hopefully his mentality has turned around completely on it. But no, this is fun. This is not just opening weekend, but this is my usual Thursday afternoon. Find a theater there that I want to go check this out in, and I'm going to be watching this, and I may watch this multiple times because it is just so worth it from what it looks like now. I mean, it could be a complete piece of trash at the end of the day. I hope not, but as of right now, I'm totally excited. So yeah, so let me know in the comments how you feel about it all. I'm totally in for it. Also, do me a quick solid. It'll be awesome if you enjoyed what you're watching so far. Hit that like button. Do me a quick favor and do that so that everyone can enjoy in on the fun this Monday morning, and Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday mornings whenever I go live here on the channel. So yeah, Walter Peck. I can't believe homeboy is back, and he looks like he is. I don't know if he's still part of the. What was it? The Department of Environmental? Was it the DEP or something like that? I forget what department he was a member of, but it looks like he's still in a prominent position there with his office and all that. God, could you imagine if he is the new mayor of New York? Can you believe if that's true? What the hell? PQ just said it. He just said it. Or is he the mayor? Yeah, could you imagine? Holy cow. And then that is like the new hurdle. That's the new struggle that the team has to go through because of all that. Oh, man, that would be fantastic. That would be such a Ghostbusters kind of plot, kind of theme there. Yeah, that would be nuts. And I would be all for it. That would make, you know, because in a way that would kind of make a lot of sense. You know, this is a guy who obviously is kind of power hungry, and he is all about authority, right? And he was so adamant about being against these guys and all. And he just basically got, you know, pushed aside. Lenny, you could be the guy who saved millions and millions and all that, you know, and it's an election year, millions of registered voters, you know, so of course who's going to go with what, right? In that type of position. So yeah, so really awesome. For those of you who are watching, obviously, you know, those who were anticipating this trailer are obviously huge Ghostbusters fans. Let me know, what is your favorite Ghostbuster moment, whether it's in the movies or in the animated show. Would love to hear what your favorite Ghostbusters moments are. PQ chiming in, it's every New Yorker's God-given right to be angry. That's right. God, Ghostbusters is like one of those movies, I dare say, is close to being perfect. I still think to this day, in my opinion, the most perfect movie is Back to the Future, the first one. But the original Ghostbusters is very close to being perfect. I don't know what I would have done differently to make it a little bit more regarded, in my opinion. Not saying that I disregard it. I love that movie to death. I watch it at least once or twice every year. Second one, not so much. But I have grown in appreciation of the second one the older I get, because I understand more about what they were trying to do in that film, you know, and the kind of message, especially the time it came out, what they were trying to convey during that time. So I get it. But still, the first one is by far the superior one, with Afterlife being very close. I do love Afterlife for sure. But yeah, I don't know what I would do differently in the first movie to kind of switch it up, but maybe if they lean in more towards adult humor a little bit, because during that time, you think about it, right? You have Bill Murray, and then you have you have Harold Ramis, and then you had why are the names escaping me right now? Dan Aykroyd. Sorry, holy cow! I really need that coffee to kick in. These guys were really involved in a lot of adult humor related content during that time. We're talking about like the mid 80s, early 80s. Wasn't it Bill Murray? He was in Porky's, right? One of those. So it's a lot of adult humor. And in a way, you could see in Ghostbusters, there was that adult humor moments. You know, the whole thing about Ray in the bed, thinking he's dreaming, and he wakes up to this ghost, this female ghost on top of him, unzipping his pants and basically kind of, you know, without even showing it, alluding to the fact that he's going to get a blowjob, right? And he apparently does. You know, like it would be kind of funny if they had more of those type of moments, but at the same time, it's a good thing they didn't, because it was really the kids who latched on to this film, you know, and that became the huge hit of that year. It was the kids that really drove this film home, and I don't know if they were expecting that to happen. That's why the second one was done a little bit more lightheartedly, right? So maybe it's a blessing that they didn't lean in on the adult humor in that one. But it's good to have a mix, a good balance between the adult humor and kind of the kiddie lighthearted stuff. So PQ chiming in, I love parts of the second for sure, but the first is the better one for sure. Yeah. There are a lot of moments in the second one that I thought were awesome. And it tied in a lot with the animated show eventually too, which was great. So, you know, growing up as a kid, you're just like, oh man, everything's together. And, you know, when you're a kid, especially a kid in the 80s, a lot of the content that we watch, there wasn't really such a thing as canon. There wasn't always like a full through storyline, because everything was episodic. So whatever happened in one episode was basically contained just to that episode, and then you carry on and all that. So we rarely got things that were like this huge long story that tied to a lot of things that may have happened in the first season, second season, or whatever like that. Everything was very self-contained, you know, which was like the way TV was made back then. That was the way, you know, especially cartoons were made back then. Cartoons were very episodic. And I remember Ghostbusters was one of the few where I was like, wow, they're actually referencing stuff from several episodes ago or from the previous year or something. It was really anime that made me realize that you could make cartoon content, animated content, have a through storyline, you know, where you could show characters evolving, growing up, getting older, you know, having kids of their own, like, you know, like Dragon Ball and stuff like that. Because content back then that we grew up with just didn't have that cohesiveness, really. Maybe, you know, from time to time, you'll have like an episode of Knight Rider referring to something from several seasons ago, but it was very rare. So I feel like with Ghostbusters kind of showing that, yeah, you could make a through storyline and have everything connected, or reference things from before, to say like, yeah, whatever you saw before, that's real stuff. That's stuff that happened, and those are things that are in the history of the Ghostbusters, right? And what I loved about Afterlife is that it acknowledged that whatever happened in the first movie happened, what happened in the second movie happened, right? So they really acknowledged that all of these things still matter. So it wasn't like a reboot, it wasn't like a refresh or anything like that. And if it's true that they're going to be taking inspirations from the cartoon, from the animated show in this new movie, Frozen Empire, then once again, it's like everything that we watched, everything that was part of the Ghostbusters franchise, the animated show, matters. It's all connected. And it really did happen, right? So that's awesome. That's really, really awesome. I also love the new tech we saw. You gotta love new tech. Whenever they introduce new tech, you gotta love it. And here we got a Ghostbusters trap that's a drone, which I think is awesome. Let's see if I could bring up that image. Because that was fascinating. I loved it. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, this bad boy right here. How awesome is this? This is so cool. I love it. I just love that they're constantly expanding their capabilities. You know, they're not just always relying on, you know, just the old stuff. I mean, it was great to be nostalgic. You know, like in Afterlife when she uncovered the basement, right? And you saw all the old tech there. And obviously the Ghostbusters, the proton packs are still similar with slight adjustments here and there. You know, the traps have been adjusted. The tracker has been adjusted, so now it's also like a taser like weapon that they can use. Ecto 1 has that thing that slides out to the side, which was very awesome to see, have that thing so that you have a gunner seat. You know, you had the RC thing, the RC trap that they were able to release and chase the ghosts around. Like, that was really cool. So it's nice that they're still introducing new things. The drone trap, which is pretty awesome. And then it looks like with a quick glimpse that we got of the proton pack, it looks like there's more adjustments made to those things. Because, you know, we saw some new lights happening there. And I thought that was pretty dope. I'm still curious what Kumal's role is, what that character is. And also I'm curious about that blonde dude that we've seen in the last trailer in this one. I'm curious like who those guys are. So I can't wait to know and learn more about these characters. And Patton Oswalt looks like he's just a historian. Maybe he works at the public library. That's kind of what it looks like. So it's nice that we're going back to the public library again. And it looks like that same old lady ghost is there to terrorize Ray, like she did in the original movie. So yeah, I'm stoked. I'm excited. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. If anything, I just want it to be fun. Just have a good old time at the theaters, you know? That's all I really care about. So yeah, so I'm glad I was able to finally see that and reacted with all of you. So yeah. How was everyone's weekends? I didn't really get to talk much about the weekend, so let's just quickly talk about that. My weekend was pretty cool, pretty chill. The Royal Rumble was this weekend on Saturday, and I've said it before, I am a casual wrestling fan. I don't watch it week to week. I don't watch any of the shows at all, but I do love watching the pay-per-views because, you know, it's big events, big craziness, and my favorite live event has always been the Royal Rumble because it's just so gimmicky, right? It's just so to get all of these people in one ring and they're all fighting each other, throwing whoever out, and then the ultimate winner gets a big shot at the championship at WrestleMania. So that's why I also like it too, because it's the one live event that really has major effects and ties to their main event in WrestleMania, right? And I love how now they have a female portion of the Royal Rumble and all. And the biggest like excitement and fun thing to always see when you're watching these things is who's going to show up, right? And in past years, yeah, sometimes they had like gimmicky things where they brought back an older wrestler to show up. You knew nothing was going to happen majorly with this wrestler, but it's just a nice way to kind of bring back somebody from the past. I think Booker T came up last year. Like he kind of just showed up and the crowd went nuts. It's also depending on where they're having the event. If they're having the event in a city where a well-known famous WWE star used to come from, then usually they'll highlight that person and have that person show up and all that. This year it was in Tampa, Florida, but they didn't really have any major stars show up. No one from the past. It wasn't gimmicky at all. That was the one takeaway I had from the Royal Rumble. It was actually treated very seriously. And I'm not used to that, where every person that showed up kind of had a purpose for showing up, or at least something to do with progressing a storyline that they're working on. And we saw that even more so with the Women's Royal Rumble, where you could easily count at least 5 different storylines that they're trying to push forward with everyone that participated in the Royal Rumble. It was so fun and interesting to watch, right? And the end result was very out of nowhere, in my opinion. The fact to have Bayley just kind of win overall, someone who is not, like a Becky Lynch or that new lady that they brought in, that they're really trying to push. It wasn't like a Nia Jax, or anyone of that caliber. So to have Bayley show up, and of course it makes sense, because if you kind of know what's happening, she's part of a group where one of them is the women's champion. So they're going to create this rift. So she's going to want to go for that because she's always looking for the easy way out. So I could see this happening where she's like, hey, Io, we're buds and all that. I don't want to fight Rhea Ripley. I kind of just want to, do me this solid. I'll win this. And then if you want, you could fight me later and you could get it back and all that. But then it's going to totally change and she's going to be the champion and she's going to want it and hold on to it. It's a soap opera, right? And that's kind of the reasons why I like it, because it's really funny. Like that is my trash reality TV and it's a blast. I love it. So yeah, numerous amounts of storylines there, a lot of great efforts from the ladies, even though there was a lot of botched moves. There was one moment where I thought someone botched something really bad that I thought someone was going to get hurt. But no, everyone seemed to be okay. The men's side was boring a little bit, to be honest with you. It was very anticlimactic. It wasn't anything. I called the result, especially once you had the final 4 guys in there with Cody Rhodes, CM Punk. Who were the other 2? You had the big Irish guy, the Scottish guy, Drew McIntyre. Yeah, Drew McIntyre. And I forgot who the 4th one was. But the minute I saw that, I was like, I know Cody Rhodes is going to win, because everyone was expecting CM Punk to win or wanted CM Punk to win, because he's now newly fresh back in the WWE. And he's like, obviously he's the big name. So everyone was hoping he could make a WrestleMania push. But I knew it was too soon. So to have Cody Rhodes win, you're going to have Cody Rhodes go against Roman Reigns. And then everyone's wondering, well, I thought The Rock is calling Roman Reigns out. I guarantee you somehow they're going to make it so that it becomes a 3-way match. A 3-way.
I'm gonna come.
They're probably going to end up doing a 3-way, and they'll still find a way to have CM Punk probably go for some title, and probably go against who the other person is. Who is it? I can't even remember right now. Oh, Seth Rollins. Yeah, because there's a history between Rollins and CM Punk, so it only makes sense that that's going to happen. So overall, it was an okay event, and I do that, and I hang out with my bud, because we both love talking about wrestling, and we do that together. And then while we're doing that, we're also trying to play video games, because every month we're trying to knock down a title from our backlog. And for the longest time, we've been trying so hard to beat Guardian Heroes on the Sega Saturn. And I'm happy to say that Saturday night, we finally did. Yeah! That's right. Guardian Heroes is now officially off the list of our backlog, and we finally beat it. Now, I don't know what the hell the story was about, because we kind of just breezed through everything. So I couldn't tell you one thing about the story at all. And eventually I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to pay more attention to it all. You can get 7 different endings in that game. We got one. And if you ask me to tell you what ending we got, God help me if I remember at this point, because I was also kind of high. I can tell you that I had a sword on a cliff, on a mountain cliff, on a mountainside thing. And it was panning like that. It had a lot of text. So yeah, so that was the ending of Guardian Heroes. But it was fine. It was a lot of fun. You know, I'm just glad it's always like one of those things that's enjoyable when you can say, "Oh, I finished the game." You know, because we don't get to do that enough. At least I don't. So when I do have a chance to do that, it makes me extremely excited. So yeah. So I'm happy that I was able to at least accomplish that. So hold on one second. I am just adjusting some things here because it looks like I was coming in extremely hot, or maybe not. Hey, is that better? I don't want to blow everyone's ears out. No. Okay. All right. So yeah, so that was Saturday, and then for the rest of the weekend, I kind of chilled out. I didn't play Pal Worlds this past weekend. I took a little break because that thing has been dominating my life too much. So I wanted to take a little break. And I did watch a movie, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I think now is the perfect time to talk about box office. So let's check out box office stuff. Let's go. All right. Box office here. Before we go into that, I didn't realize PQ said another thing here, but even in Afterlife, the car had an upgrade with a pop-out door seat. Yeah, I did mention that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go over to the main screen here. Weekend box office was not great. Very boring, depending on who you ask. I didn't watch any new movies this past weekend because I didn't care about anything that was out. So, but you did have Jason Statham, the Beekeeper, beating out Mean Girls, just barely, to claim the #1 spot of the box office, pulling in $7.4 million in its, I believe, second week, right? In its second week in theaters. So you had that going on. Mean Girls pulled in $7.3 million. Total gross domestically is $60 million, which is not bad for a movie like that. Worldwide, you have 76.9, so basically 77 million worldwide there. So Mean Girls, the musical, is doing pretty well. I'm not surprised there. Wonka still in the top 3, pulling in 5.6 million, almost hitting that 200 million mark domestically. Let's see, globally, look at that, 552. Wow, Wonka is really performing strong. Very under the radar too, very low key, performing really well. So that is amazing to see. Migration is the only animated movie that's out that's kind of new in theaters right now. From Universal, 5.1 million there. Anyone But You, the rom-com with Sydney Sweeney, 4.8 million. In a couple of weeks, you're going to be seeing her in another movie, Madam Web, with Dakota Johnson. And then she has a horror movie coming out too this year. So she is a busy lady. So good for her. A movie called Fighter, which I have no knowledge about. No info on that. One of the new movies that came out pulled in 3.6 million there. Poor Things is in 7th with 3 million. I read something that Poor Things hit 50 million. It's not reflected here, but 50 million globally after this past weekend. I think after the Oscar noms were announced, more people are going out there and watching Poor Things because they're wondering what all the hubbub's about. So that's probably what's happening there. Coming in 8th is American Fiction with 2.8 million. Coming in 9th is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, 2.7 million. I didn't know that this was still in theaters, to be honest with you. However, and it's not reflected here, but I think one of the headlines that I read, see here, Poor Things has passed 50 million worldwide. And then you had Aquaman tops 400 million at the global box office. So I always knew that Aquaman would do well overseas compared to domestically, because it's just one of those movies that can be very enjoyable to an international market. Because I think most international markets don't care about if it's tied to what storyline or DCU or any of that stuff. So, and Jason Momoa has star power overseas. So I'm not surprised that that is performing really well overseas, because yeah, look at it. Look at the domestic versus international box office. It's like more than double, which is outstanding for that movie. So good for Momoa and crew there. And then rounding out the top 10, you have Godzilla -1, 2.6 million. It actually had an increase of 276% from the previous week. Wow. You know why? Let's give it its due. This past week, they re-released it with Godzilla -1 minus color, where they did a black and white treatment to the movie. It first released in Japan, and now they have it out here in the States. So that is adding to the box office numbers there. I think they combined it all together. That's why you have Godzilla back into the top 10 there, with that huge jump in box office revenue numbers. So that's really awesome to see for them, all that. So yeah, so it was a very, very low earning, lackluster box office weekend. It could change this upcoming week because we do have somewhat of a major release in Argylle. Argylle, the new movie from, what's that guy's face? What's that guy's face? Matthew Vaughn. Yeah, Matthew Vaughn, the guy who did The Kingsman. He did Kick-Ass, his new movie, Argylle, that has a huge cast with Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, Bryce Dallas Howard. You have Samuel Jackson, Sam Rockwell, Ariana DeBose, and Sophia Boutella, who he loves working with a lot. Bryan Cranston is in this damn movie. Catherine O'Hara. You have a huge cast for Argylle this coming weekend. So that is going to be the big... I would say that this is going to be the first big movie of 2024. And it's kind of a good timing for it, because right now, you could see it, 2 weeks in a row, we've been talking about it now, that it's been a very dull January for new movie releases. I mean, just to show you how dull it's been and to prove it to you, I have yet to go to the movie theater this month. I have not gone a single day to the movie theater because there's nothing that I want to see right now out there. I've been catching up on movies at home, catching up on stuff that I haven't seen from last year, which is great for me. And obviously it's great for what I do here and what me and Blake do for the Movie Time podcast, but not great for new movies and new content. But I will be finally going to the theaters this week. So this will be my first movie to watch in the movie theater of 2024. Let's go. So yeah, so I'm excited for that. I'm a huge fan of a lot of people in that film. So I'm hoping that it's going to do well, and hopefully it would, spark a little bit of excitement for movie going audiences there. So yeah, so I mentioned I did watch a movie over the weekend, And like I said, I'm trying to catch up to, I'm trying to catch up with all the movies that came out last year that I haven't watched yet. And especially since, Oscar noms happened on Tuesday, there are a lot of films that were kind of mentioned and nominated that I still haven't had a chance to watch. Most of them are the documentaries, the short films, both live and animated. But in international, there's also a small portion of the films that I haven't seen yet. And one of them is The Teacher's Lounge. So I decided to watch it. I was able to have a moment to watch it, sit down and watch it. Teacher's Lounge. It is, hold on, let me just bring it up so I know. All right. Teacher's Lounge. So it is, I just want to, it's an international film. I wanted to properly call out where it's from. Hold on. It's so funny. The more and more I use Bing, the more, now I'm always a Chrome guy, but I'm also learning that Bing is very fast. And it's actually not that bad when it handles certain things. Still not the best. I'm still always going to be a Chrome guy, but Bing is slowly becoming a small favorite of mine when it comes to web browsers. Yeah. Welcome to Low Key Geek, the morning after tech web browser review. Oh, here we go. All right. So Teacher's Lounge is a German film. Just some history behind it. It came out obviously last year. It nominated for the Panorama Audience Award at 73rd Berlin International Film Festival, where it premiered back in February of last year. It released to critical acclaim. The National Board of Review named The Teacher's Lounge one of the top 5 international films of 2023. And obviously, as of Tuesday, it has been nominated for Best International Feature Film. I'm not familiar with the director or any of the actors and actresses involved. So this is like my first time being exposed to this creative group and team behind it. I also went in on it not knowing really what it's about. Obviously, I know it's a movie about a teacher or teachers, right? Or a lounge of teachers, because it is the Teacher's Lounge, right? But, it's one of those interesting things. Like, I have a lot of family that are teachers. Most of them live in Maryland. It's a huge population of one side of my family who are teachers out over there. And then I have a lot of friends whose wives are teachers. So I know a lot of people within the education system. And obviously, I'm a huge fan and supporter for paying teachers more money, giving them more proper respect and more due, because they deal with a lot of shit on a daily basis. And a movie like this, actually, especially for an international film, highlights a lot of that. This is like what I would call a day in the life of a teacher. And it doesn't matter what location or region you're in, it feels like it's very universal that teachers go through a lot of crazy stuff. The thing that this movie did brilliantly is it showcased worst case scenario day for a teacher. And the amount of stress and anxiety that you can have when you're dealing with the situations that was put in front of this teacher and how she had to deal with it and work with her fellow teachers to understand how to deal with it. It was so stressful watching this thing. And I kind of, on Letterboxd, described it as if you had the Safdie brothers, and if you knew who the Safdie brothers, they did the movie Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. And watching that film was like a panic attack 24/7. It was just, I remember watching that in the theater with my friends. I actually, that was like one of the films I watched with Blake, because he brought it up. He's like, let's watch Uncut Gems. I really, really want to see it. And I want to see your reactions to it, basically. And I remember in the theater, most of the time watching this movie, my hands were gripping the sides of the armrest. I didn't realize I was doing that, but I was like gripping really hard that they became so sweaty. And I remember I was like leaning back, like just trying to like push my way from the screen as much as possible, because I was so stressed out with everything that was happening. I had so much anxiety, and I was like, what is going on here? Like everything, it's nonstop, right? And that's kind of how I felt like watching this film. You know, basically what's happening here is you have a teacher that's in a school, and there's something going around where there's a thief. Someone is stealing money and stuff from, not only from teachers, but from students, right? And so that's like an ongoing problem that they're having. So this teacher decided that, you know, I want to try to get to the bottom of it, because if it's a student, we have to figure out which student is doing that, right? So what she does is that in the lounge, she leaves her jacket, and then her laptop she leaves open, and she leaves the camera going, and then she steps away because she has to go to teach a class or something, and she records somebody taking money out of her pocket. And then she looks in her wallet when she gets back, and she's like, yeah, money's gone. She looked at it. She was able to record who did it, but only her arm, or this person's arm. But you could see what the person's wearing. So she goes around and she's looking around, and she sees that one of the teachers, I believe she's a counselor or like head teacher or something like that, is wearing that same stuff. So now all of a sudden it becomes a he said, well, in this case, she said scenario. And it so happens that this person has her son in school, and it's one of the students in her class who's a very promising young, bright student. So now it becomes this thrill ride of, well, what are we going to do with this teacher? You know, she confronts her. They go back and forth. She's asked to leave. She pulls her kid out. Now there's like debate about, well, is the kid allowed to come back to school? So the kid's been suspended, but the kid shows up in school anyway. And there's this crazy, like, well, why is this boy here? What are you going to do with the boy? He's not allowed in class. He's kind of causing a ruckus. The teacher, the one who's not allowed back, is calling her on the phone, threatening her, this and that. You know, showing up on a bike in front, like outside her window, just staring at her, you know, saying like, I see you, I see what you're doing. And it's just this whole kind of mind fuck. And then now the teacher, the main teacher, Carla, I guess that's the character's name, is now second guessing herself. You know, now she's having delusions where, oh no, now I'm seeing other people wearing the same type of shirt or blouse. It's like, did I make the wrong call? Should I have not, you know, called her out? Should I have not confronted her? And it becomes this crazy, crazy back and forth, you know. And it was just a roller coaster of a ride for a good hour and 30 minutes. And it was just really well done. It was really, really well done. I understand why it was nominated and why it has such high critical acclaim. The actress here, Leonie Benesch, who plays Carla, was brilliant. She was so good. Very, very good performance there. And the person who she was accusing of, the main, you know, villain, I guess, of the movie, Ava Lobau, who played Frédéric, she was really good too. Yeah, and the kids involved were really good actors. but yeah, it like after watching this film, it made me realize that I wish they can put more focus and attention to these teachers and what they have to go through on a daily basis. I know sometimes you see like those TikToks or those YouTube videos get spread around about, teachers who get punched or who get, pranked on. But then you also see like the nice, sweet videos of the teachers who come up with like those great handshakes for all the students in class, before they start the day. So it's nice just to see the opposite kind of quote unquote uglier side of being a teacher and the politics you have to deal with. Because like during this whole time in the investigation, he had a lot of the teachers involved who were like, they didn't really say what side they were on, and they didn't really know what was the proper way to handle things. And Carla, the main teacher herself, well, you know what? Maybe I should just resign. And they're like, no, we don't want you to do that. And this is that. I just wish you talked to us first and then before taking matters into your own hand and yada, 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 and all this stuff like that. It was just like a lot of stuff happening. And it was fascinating. It was really, really, truly fascinating. And I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah. So I highly recommend it if this sounds like a movie that you're interested in watching. I think it is a good watch. It is definitely panic inducing and kind of anxiety inducing. So just be mindful of that. If you are not in a good state of mind or frame of mind, or if you're looking just for something chill, this is not going to be a movie you'd want to watch. But on Letterboxd, let me just quickly see because I can't recall. I believe I gave it 3 stars. And the reason why I gave it 3 stars is also because there were moments of the film that I thought it did drag a bit. And there were a lot of moments of just watching the teacher walk from one room to another, or going up a flight of stairs, or going from inside to outside. You could tell like the director loved these shots of just following the teacher walking through the halls, right? Going in between buildings, going outside, going from one class to another. You could tell like this director really loved those type of shots. But I felt like a lot of those moments could have been cut short. Woo! Good morning. But it also just, I feel like that led to moments of the film dragging, which was a little bit unfortunate. I mean, the movie itself is short enough, right? So I guess if you were to cut a lot of those moments, it would have been a lot shorter too. So you don't want to do that as well. But still, it was 3 stars, and I hold on, I just want to see. I think I hearted it. And if I didn't, I'm going to heart it right now because I did enjoy it. I thought it was a good film. I really, really did. X going to give it to you. Let's see Twitter here. The Teacher's Lounge. I did. I liked it. I hearted it. So there it is. That is my review on The Teacher's Lounge. Now, with this new movie coming out, Argyle, I have other movies that I do want to catch that are still primarily just theater only for now. That is American Fiction and Origin. So who knows? I may make it like a crazy 3-in-1 day type of outing for me when I go watch Argyle. It all depends on how early I see it. But stay tuned, obviously, to the channel for my thoughts and reviews on all of those things, because I'm going to be doing a lot of that stuff during the live show. So yeah, so that was what I watched over the weekend. And on Wednesdays, I will talk about whatever I'm binging for the week. Last week, I talked about Monarch, Legacy of Monsters on Apple TV. I'm not going to tell you what I am watching now. You'll just have to stay tuned for Wednesday to see which show I'm going to be talking about right there. All right, let's see. I think now is a good time to talk about headlines. Headlines time. Headlines time. All right, so this is the moment of the show where I just basically go through some of the headlines that happened from the weekend, and let's just talk about it. Most of the time, I just kind of bookmark them on Twix, and I just read things up. One piece of news that came out this morning, and usually I don't talk about video game related news until Friday, but this is very important. It's very timely because I actually just talked about this game on Friday's episode of the stream about Justice League, not just Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. I gave my thoughts basically on the game from what I was exposed to for the alpha playtest. I gave my opinion whether or not is a game I'm willing to play or it's worth playing. I was not very favorable on it. And it looks like these guys over at Rocksteady, they're not having a good time with this game. And it just sounds like there's a lot of things going wrong. When I say that, first they had review copies sent out. Or actually, let's take a step back. First, they did the alpha playtest, right? Where they invited a few amounts of people to test it out, play it, QA it, give their thoughts, all those things like that, give feedback and what have you. Then some people stupidly started posting on Twitter or Twix or social media what's happening in the game. So they're breaking NDA because everyone had to agree to an NDA to be a part of that. So they had leaks and spoilers and all. Then review copies went out and they're getting bad reviews, bad thoughts, bad previews. So now they lifted the NDA so that they allow some of the players involved to talk freely about it. So you have a mixed bag happening there now. And then you have someone like myself who just thought it wasn't that great. It wasn't fun. And now I guess what they're doing is that they're having an early access launch that they had to pull an hour into the access launch. So I'm reading the headline here. And I'll switch my screen. Basically, it says here, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has pulled offline an hour after early access launch began due to a bug where players have full story completion when logging into the game for the first time. According to them at Rocksteady, it will take several hours to fix. How can that happen? How can that be? How can you release something like that it, for me, sounds like pretty serious bug? So I don't know who over there blew it.
You blew it!
But someone blew it. And that is rough. That is really rough. For a game that has been under scrutiny for a very long time now. It's been pushed back since last year because of, obviously it wasn't ready. They were still working on it. All of the stuff that's been happening this year, the leaks, the comments, the bad press, the bad word of mouth. And now for those who had access to early access, lost access because according to the game, they already beat it without even playing it. So, and look, I don't want to laugh at others' misfortunes and all that, but this is terrible. This is really bad. It's almost like Gotham Knights all over again. Like Gotham Knights had so much bad stuff going for it. And that was like kind of a highly anticipated game at one point. And then something like all the bad stuff happens, and it became a game that people kind of just laughed at and didn't want to play. Most people that I personally know played it only because it finally hit Game Pass. And they gave it a shot. And I spoke to my friend about it on Saturday. And he said, it's a guilty pleasure game. It sucks. But if I play with the right people, then it's okay for me. Which in a way I kind of feel about Pal World, where it's okay. It's not, for me personally, it's not like a groundbreaking thing for me. It's not something that's like overly exciting. But if I play with the right people or person, then I get enjoyment out of it. That's like my guilty pleasure game. Right? But you don't want, I'm sure every developer wants to hear that their game is a guilty pleasure game. That's just so terrible. Yeah, so that was one thing that kind of like blew my mind this morning. I was just like, how can that even happen? And I feel terrible for everyone there at Rocksteady. They're just not having good, they're not having any good karma or luck with this one particular game. And it's also, it begs the question too, it's like, a lot of time has already passed since James Gunn's Suicide Squad came out. Do you really have people who are excited for this game with these characters? With the exception of Harley Quinn, do people really look forward to wanting to play as Boomerang or Deadshot, King Shark? Like, are people excited about that? At least with something like Gotham Knights, you get to play as Robin, Nightwing, right? Batgirl. Those are characters that people really care about. Do people really care about the rest of this crew here outside of Harley Quinn? Because my friend said it himself. He's like, I don't care about any of these people. I don't want to play a game where I have to be one of these people. Now, if this game was timed better and came out maybe slightly after James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie came out, you'll have that fever, right? Of people like, man, that movie was so awesome. Now I get to play them like at home and I can kind of like try to recreate those moments and whatever. You're riding on the hype. But so much time has passed since then. What is the hype like now for this game? I don't know. That's just my opinion. PQ in the comments. I'm sure Pal World devs are okay with it. $8 million in sales later. Yeah. Look, lightning in the bottle for them. That was like a nice lightning in the bottle for them. I'm sure they never thought that was going to happen. But it had everything going for it, right? They got their money. Now let's see what they can do for longevity and loyalty. That is going to be the question there. And let's see what happens. Cool. So that is the thing. Obviously, the big news from end of last week over the weekend is Vince McMahon with all the allegations and then him resigning. You had Slim Jim pulling their sponsorship from Royal Rumble. Vince McMahon resigns. And then now they hopped right back on board just because they just don't want to have Vince's name associated with anything that they're associated with. This is going to be an ongoing story for a bit. The program, the Royal Rumble, you could tell they did their best to kind of not have so much focus on that. Triple H welcomed the show in the beginning. He was hyping up the crowd. And then they do their stupid, silly little press conference thing at the end, which I think is really ridiculous. Because everyone in attendance there is like, I'm from geekwrestlergirls.com. And I'm from above the ring, over the top, in your face.com.net or whatever. You know, it's like all of these like internet reporters. It's not like your ESPNs or your Bleacher Sports or whatever, Bleacher Reports. It's like luchador mask up my ass.org. It's like, you know, it's just so silly to see, you know, but you know, they're trying to have it so that it puts a little bit more importance in those events. But they did a good job, or they tried to do as best as they could to kind of, you know, steer questions away from that. Triple H was dancing. Like, I never seen him dance so much in my life. He was dancing around the question every time it was brought up. I think Cody Rhodes was the best one to address it when I was watching the clip out on YouTube. But yeah, so this is going to be an ongoing thing you're going to be seeing for a hot minute. Let's see what other things that really stood out to me from recently. Well, we have Sundance that completed last week. Sundance is one of the first film festivals of the year. Sundance also focuses a lot on more on the indie scene. A lot of first-time people, first-time filmmakers, they make their debuts at Sundance. Some of the famous ones I can think of the top of my head: Quentin Tarantino debuted Reservoir Dogs at Sundance. Actually, I think I have a saved list here of some of the top debuts at Sundance with people who kind of let's see here. Let's see, biggest Sundance acquisitions of all time. Let's see here. Oh, I think I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me for a moment. Didn't happen. Wait, maybe it did. No, it's not going to happen. Okay. Star-Lord, nice seeing you here. RoboCop Synth. Yeah, that is one of my favorite. That it's actually the soundtrack from the NES RoboCop game, and I love it. When I found it, I was like, oh yeah, that is some good stuff. All right, so oh man, I hate when it does that. Why did it refresh when I clicked on it? That is, this is brilliant streaming right now. This is great content. I know you guys are like super into. Oh, I just lost it again. All right, bear with me for a moment. Sorry, y'all. Am I right or wrong? I'm not sure. You're still right. Don't worry. By the way, Starlord, I don't know if you've been watching from the beginning, but did you see the new Ghostbusters trailer? And how excited are you about it? Let me know, because that was a lot of fun to see. All right. So yeah, so here is a list of some of the major movies that debuted at Sundance. And obviously, we all know those who were involved in these releases went on to grow to be giant directors and filmmakers. So first you have, I'm going to go from the bottom, Whiplash, Damien Chazelle. This guy later on directed La La Land, which made so much waves during that year it came out. So that was it. Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. Obviously, we all know Quentin Tarantino and what he made and what he's doing. Get Out. Jordan Peele debuted at Sundance, right? Memento. Christopher Nolan debuted at Sundance. You know, so you had a Linklater debuted at Sundance. You know, you have so many of these creators. So Sundance is a very important festival. It's also very interesting because it happens so early on in the year. What I usually tend to do is that I will usually attend it online, but I didn't do anything like that this year. I was a little bit, for a lack of a better term, exhausted from all the movie related stuff I was doing towards the end of the year. I attended New York Film Festival, covered that for the channel for the very first time. I was so bogged down by all that stuff, all the new releases that came out towards the end of last year. So just keeping up with everything, I was just so bogged down with it all that I kind of just, I said, you know what, I'm going to skip Sundance this year and just wait to see what the big to do is going to be. Like, what are some of the big titles that are talked about, who won the audience award and all that. So we do have some results here from Sundance. So I'm going to pull it up, and then we're going to talk about some movies that should be things that are on our list if we are interested and curious to keep an eye out on when they come out this year, if they come out. The thing about Sundance too is that you have to have studios bid on these movies and finance these movies and acquire them. Most of the time, a lot of the great films, they don't get acquired at all. They just kind of linger, and then who knows what happens afterwards, right? So let's see here. So according to this, so the grand jury prize for U.S. dramatic competition went to a movie called In the Summers, and Porcelain War landing the award for U.S. documentary competition. Starlord saying audio is good, but I'm sad I need to recharge again. It's all good, man. I get it. I'm just happy that you showed up and you said, "What's up?" That makes me happy. Makes me, say, "Hey, happy morning, happy Monday." Maybe you'll watch the replay or whatever the case is. It's all good. Don't worry. I love that you're joining in and you're hanging out, because that's what this thing is. It's a hangout. We're just here to hang out. I drink my morning coffee and I do what I normally would have done if I'm not streaming. I'm just watching the headlines. I'm reading the headlines, watching trailers, just catching up before I start my day, really. So it's all good in the hood. All right. Suzhou won jury prize for World Cinema Dramatic Competition. A New Kind of Wilderness won World Cinema. Audience award went to Sean Wang's Dee Dee in U.S. Dramatic Competition and Daughters in U.S. Documentary Competition. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, what are these movies? Well, I'll get to that. We'll look these movies up. So I'll pull up my handy dandy tab here. In the Summers is the first one we'll look into. So In the Summers 2024, let's see. Let's go to movie spans the foundational years of parent-child relationship. Urban music star Rene Perez Joglar, aka Residente, impresses as the troubled father of two daughters in this New Mexico set portrait of complicated familial bonds. Okay. We get the premise on that one, so that's an interesting one. Let's see who the audience award winner is. Dee Dee. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about this film, especially online. So Dee Dee film 2024. Dee Dee. Dee Dee is an American comedy drama written, directed by, and produced by Sean Wang in his directorial debut. It stars Isaac Wang, Shirley Chan, Chang Li. Okay, so what is the movie about? So let's see. World premiere. Yeah, let's see. Premise. Set in 2008, a 13-year-old Taiwanese American boy learns how to skate, flirt, and love his mother? Whoa. Wait, what? Did they mean all of that in one? Is that really the plot of the movie? Hold on. Maybe it's skate, flirt, and separately love his mom. I hope it's not all in one shot. Because that would just be so weird. Star-Lord, now I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. Which movie are you talking about, Star-Lord? Are you talking about Ghostbusters? Because if you are, so am I. I can't wait. Let's see here. Girls Will Be Girls landed the audience award for World Cinema Dramatic Competition. Girls Will Be Girls. Girls Will Be Girls. Let's see. Girls Will Be Girls review. A distinctive drama about fraught mother-daughter relationships. It is Shuchi Talati's debut film. A mother's intervention in her teenage daughter's budding romance creates an unexpected emotional love triangle. Ooh, that sounds saucy.
Wow.
All right, so that's interesting. Let's look more into this Dee Dee movie. There has to be more about it. Dee Dee review. Here we go. This is from The Guardian here. Dee Dee review, a tender specific rendering of adolescence on the early internet. Ooh, I like that. It's a semi-autobiographical film. Asian American teen's life played out online in 2008. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay. That sounds like that would be a lot of you know what? That sounds like that'll be an interesting. It reminds me of that movie, mid-90s. I believe that was a movie directed by Seth Rogen. And it's not, it's not really autobiographical, but it's more of like an homage to growing up in the 90s, right? So if this is 2008, the internet, well, the YouTube generation was very young and early on still here. So I think that would be really, really fascinating to see for sure. So that's Sundance. I mean, I'm not going to go over all of it, but at least for myself, I have some things on my radar of movies that sounds kind of interesting. I know the Hollywood Reporter also did a list of like their top 10 movies to catch from Sundance. So I'll be monitoring that for sure. And what's always interesting to see whenever Sundance ends and you hear about the most talked about films of that festival is how much legs do these films have to carry out throughout the rest of the year that they'll be talked about towards the end of the year. Maybe they'll make some, top 10 list of the end of the year. And then maybe there'll be some consideration when it comes to Oscars the following year, right? So it's always fun and interesting to see all that stuff. Let's see what else. Okay, I do want to. All right. So one of the things that really stood out last week was obviously the backlash on Barbie. The lack of nomination of Greta Gerwig for director. Oh, what the hell? No, we're not doing headlines. Sorry. The lack of nomination for Greta Gerwig. The lack of nomination for Margot Robbie. So there's obviously a lot of backlash behind all of that. And everyone has their own say. Right? And there's this article that came out about, and I'm going to read, they did a guest column here on the Hollywood Reporter. The Barbie biographer on what's really behind the Barbie Oscar snubs. And it goes on to say here, whatever biases may have led the Academy to overlook Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie have haunted Barbie from the beginning, argues the preeminent historian of Mattel's iconic toy. So I haven't read this article yet, but I saw it being passed around on the interwebs. So I figured let's read this together and let's analyze what's trying to be said here. Okay. Again, this is a historian. This is someone who kind of chronicles the history of Barbie, the toy itself, the property, I guess all the meanings behind it all and everything. So I'm just really curious as to what this person's opinion is going to be about it all. So here, a mere 17 days after its July 2023 release, Barbie earned $1 billion, not to mention positive reviews and a broad fan base that kept coming back and bringing friends. Mattel's advertising may have initially lured viewers to the theaters, but the film itself made them return and proselytize. In a just world, even a not especially feminist world, the film's guiding forces, director Greta Gerwig and star Margot Robbie, would have received Oscar nominations in their respective individual categories for conceiving, directing, and acting in this phenomenon. But that didn't happen. Instead, the Academy recognized Ryan Gosling's performance as Ken, or as Yoso Michael posted on X, Ken getting nominated and not Barbie is honestly so fitting for a film about a man discovering the power of patriarchy in the real world. Wrong. Sorry, I felt like a political correspondent for a minute there. I don't agree with that at all. That comment, that is just so wrong. All right, let me just continue reading this. Social media erupted in a Vesuvius of angry memes. The heated conversation with slurs, accusations, and conspiracy theories continues, and we are now arguably at the backlash to the backlash stage. This is something that Blake and I talked about in our recent episode of Movie Time. We talked about the backlash, and then we talked about the backlash to backlash, and how so many people were spinning things. You had Whoopi Goldberg putting out a statement saying that, well, not everyone gets nominated for stuff. Basically just like, you're just gonna have to deal with it. That's Hollywood, right? That's Hollywood, baby. And then you had Hillary Clinton putting out a post with her 2 cents in it. Of course, you had Ryan Gosling have to say something because he was getting a lot of heat and he was getting a lot of backlash online when he really didn't have anything to do with anything. So it's so funny, the discourse happening just simply around this lack of nomination here. And I'll say this again, and I stand by this. Margot Robbie was great in the film, but she was not the strongest performer. Ryan Gosling was, and I bring this up time and time again. I asked everyone that I know who saw the movie, and each one of them said basically the same thing. I wasn't expecting to like Ryan Gosling's Ken more than Barbie. What does that tell you? That he was the strongest performance. Now, America Ferrera's nomination was surprising. I wasn't expecting that. But she also had the best speech in all of the entire movie. So I think people remember that, right? And again, I'm not dissing on Margot either. She did a great job, but she wasn't the strongest. Now, you could argue also that she in a way, she got nominated for Barbie in Best Picture because she is a producer. And those awards are really meant for producers. Greta Gerwig got nominated in writing because she wrote the movie with her hubby, Noah Baumbach. Now, obviously, people would have preferred to see her nominated for director, but that didn't happen. But it was also a very strong year last year. So, I mean, you could look at any side of the fence you're on there. You could argue each way, whatever. But it is what it is, right? So the article continues to say, I have been studying the doll, its accessories, and the relationship of these objects to societal change for more than 30 years. What interests me is this. Why did this movie incite such passion? What is it about the Barbie doll that has made it a flashpoint for controversy since its introduction in 1959? The answers I found seem complicated and sometimes contradictory, since the doll has never held a single meaning to observers. It is a Rorschach inkblot onto which people have projected their own beliefs and prejudices. Barbie's admirers were, I think, frustrated by the Academy's decision to classify its script as adapted material. The Academy, they understood, had a precedent for applying that adjective to characters that had previously existed in other forms. But while Barbie's categorization may have adhered to the letter of the law, many felt it would violate the law's spirit. Barbie is not based on any existing published text. I agree with that there too. I do feel like that was kind of weird how the Academy wasn't treating it as an original screenplay. They did it, they categorized it as adapted because it's based off of already an existing IP, but that's not a work of art. That's not a work of context. You look at other examples, it's because it was taken from a novel or taken from a short story or taken from a poem or taken from a song. This is just a toy. There's no written lore, right? Outside of whatever books were made, whatever direct to VHS movies were made, right? But it's not taken out of anything it's a weird way to look at it. And I can understand why there's a lot of confusion there. In my opinion, it should have been original screenplay. But, I agree with this portion of the article here. What Gerwig captured, and remarkably was permitted by Mattel to capture, is the ragged, inspiring way that many little girls have played with their Barbie dolls over time. It is as if Gerwig externalized the rich, expansive inner worlds of female children. Yeah, I agree with that. To be clear, Mattel did not invent Barbie Land, the idealized world of imagination and open-ended possibility. Nor did Gerwig, but she picked up on its existence. Barbie Land is a metaphor. It embodies the doll's slogan in the 1980s, We girls can do anything. Barbie Land is as much of a state of mind as it is a plastic playset. Okay, I kind of see where this guy's going. All right, I have nothing to say against any of this so far. Barbie Land is also what vanishes when a little girl leaves childhood, when she must confront the reality of women's circumscribed role in a patriarchal society. All right, this is where we're going to start getting into some of the meat here. Barbie Land is a place of sexual innocence where women can look like, well, Barbie, and not be eyed lasciviously by men, and not real salaciously, but as Robbie's Barbie notes when she arrives in the real world, with an undertone of violence. Okay? Barbie Land and the loss of it is an experience to which Barbie's box office numbers suggest many women could relate. I have watched the crowd watch Barbie several times in theaters, both here and in Europe. Even though the awakening of Robbie's doll is both broadly caricatured and metaphorical, it seemed to strike a chord. From what I observed, women leave the theater with a sense of having been seen. Yeah, I saw that too. I saw a lot of that when people were watching Barbie and when women watched Barbie, for sure. Some people have compared Barbie's plot to one from mythology, where a goddess comes down from some Olympian place and adapts to the imperfect human world. I think its larger lesson, and possibly the lesson gleaned from award season, is from Daedalus and Icarus. Don't fly too close to the sun. Oh, Jesus Christ. This guy is really, really going in on it. All right. That, in a way, is the message of Ruth Handler, Barbie's inventor, who appears briefly in the movie, portrayed by Rhea Perlman. She co-founded Mattel in 1944 and continued to run the company for 2 more decades, by which time it was publicly traded and part of the Fortune 500. In the movie, she mutters about legal troubles, which are never fully explained. What happened is this. In the 1970s, when Mattel was accused of financial improprieties, Ruth was kicked out of the company she founded and took the fall. My mother was hated because she was a strong, powerful woman. Her son Ken, she named a doll for him, told me in 1993. He believed her male colleagues resented her deeply and they conspired against her. This is true. I read about that too, and that is very unfortunate and very, very sad. The movie itself kind of pokes on that, where the moment you see Will Ferrell in the boardroom, and they're like all of these like dumb men trying to come up with what to do with a toy aimed towards women, towards girls, is a satirical parody on the real life corporate situation, right? Yes, the movie deals a lot with the patriarchy, how ridiculous it is, and Ken learning about it and everything there. But at the end of the day, the movie also deals with purpose. Like, what is my purpose in life? Ken was just trying to figure that out, right? Barbie, she's trying to figure that out. Why am I here? You know, and what am I? What am I supposed to be when it comes to being a role model for women of the gender I represent, or whatever the case is? You know, it dealt with a lot of that stuff. You know, but they did not shy away from poking fun at this stuff, this unfortunate truth here. 4 male executives, including Seymour Rosenberg and Comptroller Yasuo Yoshida, were also charged with crimes violating federal securities, mail, and banking laws by preparing false financial records. But Ruth was the public face of the company. She was abrasive, and she, not they, underwent a brutal high-profile takedown. Are Gehrig and Robbie experiencing a similar takedown? Oh no, he is not comparing the same. What? Yikes. Okay, this is where we're going with this? All right. Well, no. Okay. Whew. The institutions that seem to be withholding trophies all have plausible deniability. The director's branch of the Academy is mostly made up of old men, so of course they couldn't relate to Barbie. But they also voted for Justine Triet, who directed Anatomy of Fall. So that already in itself cancels out. And the invention of a brand new Golden Globe for commercial achievement was a random coincidence, not a pointed way to honor Barbie without applauding the specific achievements of its director and star. What this is referring to is the Golden Globes created that new category so that it could honor kind of what the top performing movie of the box office was. Basically, to help appease the audience, saying like, well, that wasn't my favorite movie that won, but this was my favorite movie. So that was kind of a way to meet them in the middle, meet people in the middle there. Also, mind you, Golden Globes, I don't respect and I don't take them seriously because it's a bunch of critics and press putting that award show together, and there's a lot of biases going around there, and they do it mostly for the fanfare, for the attention, and to get all of these celebrities and people in one room, and it's a party environment because no one takes this stuff seriously. So I have no respect for that award show. I don't look at them as like, you should follow this or you should believe in that, even though there is spillage going into Oscars as far as what could be possible. I don't put a lot of respect in that award show. Article continues saying, and bar fiat from me to weigh in on the widespread perception of conspiracy that has gripped the internet. Yet the situation reminded me of that scene in the movie where Ken tells a sinister corporate type, you guys aren't doing patriarchy very well. And the corporate type rejoins, we're actually doing patriarchy very well. We're just better at hiding it. And that's how this person ends the article. M.G. Lord is an associate professor at USC, as well as the author of Forever Barbie, the unauthorized biography of a real doll. Wow. Wow. Okay. I can see where he's going, and I don't necessarily disagree. The Oscars, the Academy, they're still a long ways of being totally inclusive. And there's still a lot of segments of the Academy that is still very old school. They are aged out, and they represent a different time of Hollywood. I do agree. However, the argument saying that Greta and Margot are taking a fall for a patriarchy that still exists in the world of, like, let's say, the Academy, I can't necessarily 100% back that. Because even though it is true that the director's portion of the Academy is mostly older men, they still voted for Anatomy of Fall. They backed Justin Triet. Now, could they have also involved Greta or a Celine song? Absolutely. But let's look at the directors that they did include. Scorsese. Scorsese will always be included, especially since his movie was very well received for the most part. So, okay, that's a given. You have Christopher Nolan with Oppenheimer. Along with Barbie, Oppenheimer was the best performing movie of the year. Very well received, critically acclaimed. Did a great job. Of course he deserves a nomination, right? You have Bradley Cooper's Maestro. Now, this is where I could kind of say, all right, if there was anything to maybe possibly debate on just a little bit, it could have been Bradley's Maestro, right? Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. Just a second. I think I'm speaking out of turn here. I don't think he was nominated for directing. Hold on. Let me do this. Hold on. My apologies. Give me 1 second. Where are you? Acting. Big picture. Directing. Okay. Sorry. Bradley was not nominated for director. I take that back. My bad. So let's rewind. All right. So you have Scorsese, Nolan, right? You have Yorgos Lanthimos. Now, I was not expecting Yorgos to be nominated. I was hoping for him to be. And he was getting more and more momentum as the year was ending. Poor Things is my favorite film of all of 2023. And Yorgos took a huge risk and did such a brilliant job at directing this film that I personally feel he totally deserves this nomination in directing. I just didn't know if the Academy would be on board with that, because this movie was so out of left field, and it was weird and strange, and it had a main female character going through a journey of learning about herself, you know, all pleasing and exploring all the different senses, whether it's appetites of food, sex, whatever, you know. And it was just something that I wasn't sure if the Academy was ready to nominate a movie like that. And they did. So in a way, I'm very happy about that. I'm glad. Then you have Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, female director. But then you have Jonathan Glazer, Zone of Interest. That's the one that I wasn't expecting. And that's the one I was really shocked at. Because that movie is very, I wouldn't say controversial, but it does touch on a very tough subject matter when you talk about the Holocaust. And it's giving you a point of view from the opposing side, the side no one cares about, right? But it does so in a way that you're just like intrigued. You know, you are just drawn to it. And I never really expected the Academy would go for something like that. And it was done so in a very like avant-garde kind of way too. But they did latch onto it, and they nominated it. So out of all those people, or the men, I should say, who would you kick out? Who would you like drop nominations for in order to recognize a Greta Gerwig or a Celine Song? My opinion is I would drop Jonathan Glazer from Zone of Interest, because he was already nominated for Best Film in International Film, right? And Zone of Interest, crazy enough, is also nominated for Best Picture. So I would easily remove him, and I would have, in my opinion, put Celine Song in there. Because I thought Past Lives was by far a better movie than Barbie was. Just me. But you could have gone either way, Greta or Celine. But I don't know if it was like a purposeful thing to just not include them. It was just an unfortunate situation where maybe there are other movies that are just better. Let's look, you know, when you look at it objectively, maybe there are just other movies that were better. And we already know the Academy doesn't like to shine lights on blockbuster hits, but Barbie was a blockbuster hit. You know, so it's just unfortunate, you know, but I don't think there is like a controversy of like the patriarchy showing itself up again. I don't necessarily agree with that. Could there be more inclusion? Yes, absolutely. And I'm always for that. I'm always looking forward to that. But when it comes to the specific directing category, it was tough. But I will say I was surprised to see Glazer nominated. So there is something behind that I'm very curious about, and I would personally love to explore more on. Because that's the one that stood out to me the most. I was not expecting the Academy to love that movie as much as it did. So that is that article from that person. And then there was one more article that really talks about the backlash to the backlash. And, you know, we're approaching the 12 o'clock mark here. So maybe we'll close out on this one. I didn't expect this to be an old Barbie ending, but it is. You know, we started off with Ghostbusters and we're ending with Barbie. So there you have it. All right. So the post-Oscars controversy flips. Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig not getting nominated for their key categories is actually total fine. Really. Not everyone gets a prize. So this article is going to be talking about the opposite side of it, right? The Whoopi Goldberg side of the coin, as I will say. In Bo Burnham's brilliant pandemic-fueled Netflix special, Inside, there's a lyric that often comes to mind during media outrage news cycles. It's from the song That Funny Feeling, a rundown of dystopic sentiments about modern life, and goes like this. The backlash to the thing that's just begun. I am very familiar with this line. That's why I love saying backlash to the backlash, because it's so true. It happens all the time, especially in the world of social media. And it says here, in this case, the thing that's just begun was Barbie receiving 8 Oscar nominations on Tuesday. Writer-director Greta Gerwig and star Margot Robbie were nominated for writing and producing, respectively, with the movie screenplay and Best Picture nods. But Robbie wasn't nominated for Best Actress, and Gerwig was not nominated for Best Director. The backlash was the online outrage over those snubs, with everyone from star Ryan Gosling to Hillary Clinton expressing their strong disappointment at the Academy's voting. Clinton trying to push the hashtag Hillary Barbie was probably the most unintentionally amusing reaction. I agree. I thought that was like really, really bizarre. Most entertainment outlets covered the backlash, including us, meaning The Hollywood Reporter. And here, too, on the Loki Geek channel. So, thank you. Big ups. Then, right on schedule, came the backlash to the backlash. Essays in respectable and progressive publications arguing, essentially, actually, wait, hold on a minute. This is fine. The New York Times helped lead the charge with Barbie is bad. There, I said it. An essay that seemed rather nervous and defensive about having a potentially heretical, non-timesy opinion, yet nonetheless made a solid case for the blowback being overwrought. Quote, every time a woman fails to win an accolade doesn't mean failure for womanhood. Surely women aren't so pitiable as to need a participation certificate every time we try. We're well beyond the point where a female artist can't be criticized on the merits and can't be expected to handle it as well as any man, unquote. And as for the film, quote, there were no actual stakes, no plot to follow in any real or pretend world that remotely made sense. In lieu of genuine laughs, there were only winking ha-has at a single joke improbably stretched into a feature-length movie, unquote. And that, quote, for those who hailed it, there was a manic quality to the Barbie enthusiasm, less an I enjoyed and more of an I endorse. This sounds like a very Ben Shapiro take on the movie. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can understand why people think that for that movie. Slate headlined an essay with everyone has lost their minds over Barbie snubs, which opined, what do people think Oscars are awarded for? Most inspiring message, biggest box office smash, film that I have seen, and I can't believe this needs saying, but here I go. It is not a nomination for the character of Ken over the character of Barbie. I agree there. It is a nomination for men being better than women. No, it is not a nomination for men being better than women. Okay. I want to make sure I read that right, because I was like, for a minute, I took a quick take. I was like, huh? All right. And just because a film is primarily about feminism, which is true, as we seem to have decided is the party line about Barbie, that does not mean that the women involved in making it automatically deserve awards. So it's kind of like it's the entitlement thing. It's like just because it's a meaningful message doesn't mean that they should all be praised for it all the time. And there's no need to go to bat for Barbie to win more Oscars than the large number it is already nominated for. It is not a feminist issue that two vastly successful and acclaimed women did not get nominated for some additional awards, and it's certainly not worthy of the attention of a former U.S. Secretary of State. I can't agree with that more. However, this is the day and age where we live on social media, and everyone is looking for a quote. Everyone's looking for a hot take. Why in the world are we still having people ask prestigious directors like Martin Scorsese and you know the likes of him, Quentin Tarantino, well, what do you think of the Marvel universe? Or what do you think about comic book movies? Why? Why would they even care? That's not their genre. That's not what they do. But yet we're trying to get a quote out of them. We're trying to like poke the hornet's nest and get some hot takes. That's the only reason why we do that. So I'm pretty sure someone who asked Hillary Clinton, hey, what did you think about the snubs of Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie? And boom, they got the quote. And then she thought, hey, you know what? This will be great to put on my platform. Let's put it out there. It happens all the time, you know, but it doesn't deserve that much attention. You have a bunch of people who just love the movie that are upset that, you know, these people were not nominated. And I get that. It's like we see in every fandom. It happens in every fandom. Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Doctor Who. It happens all the time. When people don't get what they want, then there's an uproar. You know, some of it is warranted and some of it is batshit crazy. I totally agree with that. And it happens all the time. We see this all the time. The article continues that THR had its own take examining the reaction through the lens of representation. The quote, Barbiegate, why all Oscar snubs are not created equal, pointing out the irony of the backlash to the Barbie snubs is that it has attempted to pit women against women. Barbie Land would never do that. And furthermore, an increasing chorus online is pointing out a second irony. Despite Barbie's own on-screen diversity and inclusiveness, the obsession over its award snubs is an example of white feminism at its worst, in which slights towards two white women are centered at the expense of acknowledging women of color both nominated, like Lily Gladstone and America Ferrera, and not such as past live star Greta Lee. Yes. Yes. If you saw my reaction to the nominations, one of the things I was highly disappointed in was the fact that Greta Lee was not nominated for Best Actress, because her performance was fucking outstanding. And I would easily replace her with someone within that category. And if we go in here, actress in a leading role, this is the category where you could kind of see, oh, we still have old Hollywood here. Annette Bening in Nyad. How many people watch that movie? Right? But Annette Bening is kind of like Hollywood royalty at this point. And yeah, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't really speak up too much on it, right? But I did hear that it looks like she put a lot into it. And she put her body through a lot into it, you know, the swimming and all that. Like, okay, Lily Gladstone obviously was going to get nominated. If she didn't, then there'll be more of an uproar. Sandra Hüller in Anatomy of a Fall. Sandra had a tremendous year last year with Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest. And she was brilliant in both. So usually when you see an actor doing something like that, they get this kind of recognition and they'll tie it to probably what they feel was her strongest performance. And that was Anatomy of a Fall. I get that. Carey Mulligan. I thought her performance in Maestro was amazing. The chemistry she has with Bradley Cooper is some of the best things I've seen in that movie. However, was her performance that strong? to recognize her over a Greta or maybe Margot. I don't know. I loved it. But maybe if I were to replace someone, it would be either Annette Bening or Carey Mulligan, because next we have Emma Stone. And you all know how I feel about her and her performance in Poor Things. The best performance in her entire career. And she deserved to be recognized for it. You know? So I don't necessarily disagree with any of this stuff, but it's also kind of true. Yeah. There is, you are going to get those biases. All right. The Daily Beast argued the Barbie Oscar snubs made the internet lose its mind and noted, if you have been on social media the last few days, you would have thought that the Academy gave Oppenheimer a bouquet of roses and left a flaming brown bag of poo at the Barbie director Greta Gerwig's door. The level to which it seemed to break everyone's brains is astounding. Sorry. And it's even more ludicrous and frankly dismissive when America Ferrera scored her first acting nomination in Best Supporting Actress. She likely won that nod because of her performance of a monologue about feminism that became a lightning rod at the water cooler. Again, I agree with that. That's what I said before. I can totally see that. In order to make these arguments about the misogynistic snubs, people are pretending that Ferrara and her recognition does not exist. See, that's where I have a problem with all of this discourse. And I mentioned it before. Ryan Gosling was getting shit for his nomination. And I didn't see a lot of people really putting to the forefront the fact that America Ferrera was nominated and the surprise there. And, you know, recognizing her for that brilliant line that she was able to perform. However, it's a line that was written by Greta Gerwig. So she's basically just performing a piece of dialogue that was written by Greta Gerwig. And Greta Gerwig is nominated for screenplay. So people don't seem to put those things together and look at it in that way. And instead of creating all this discourse about Greta got snubbed, Margot got snubbed, how about praising what has already been accomplished? America Ferrera, Ryan Gosling. The guy everyone was talking about when they left the theater. Yes, they felt seen. But the amount of people I heard, wow, Ryan was so good. I wasn't expecting to like him so much. There you go. MSNBC columnist stated that Barbie Backlash has lost that plot, as the film should have not been nominated for anything at all. Well, I don't agree with that. Arguing the movie was a 2-hour toy commercial backed by Mattel that, by its very nature, could never offer us of radical ideas about feminism and power in the society. I totally don't agree with any of that at all. I think this person has lost the plot. Also, that outrage over Barbie has helped obscure the good news that more female directors received Best Picture noms this year than ever before. And despite what today's fervent fandoms seem to take as an article of faith, no film deserves any kind of special recognition any more than your favorite color or your favorite food deserves special recognition as my favorites. Again, I don't agree at all with that initial opening there, but some of the stuff that's said later on, I can kind of understand that, and I don't necessarily disagree. And finally, there was The View's Whoopi Goldberg, I alluded to this earlier, saying somebody was snubbed, assume someone else shouldn't be in there. There are no snubs. That's what you have to keep in mind. Not everybody gets a prize, and it is subjective. Movies are subjective. The movies you love may not be loved by the people who are voting. So you all got that? These snubs are not snubs. Snubs don't exist. The word snub might not be a word. Are the Oscars even real? Article closes out by saying all that's left now is to see whether this controversy rolls into the less common third wave of backlash, the backlash to the backlash to the backlash, which in this case probably goes something like, who cares about Barbie's Oscar noms? We are people talking about this. Why are people talking about this? So there you go. There you have it. So that is the backlash to the backlash to the backlash to the backlash of the Barbie backlash. What do you think? What do y'all think about it all? Is it ridiculous? Are you tired of it? Do you not even care? If you're watching this in a replay, definitely let me know your comments about it all, because it is extremely amazing in this world that we live in. But it shouldn't be amazing anymore, because it should be stuff that we should be expecting, or have expected. But because of this internet world that we live in this TikTok universe, something like this can get blown out of proportion, deservingly or not. Still, it is something that is a talking point that I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot about going into the Oscar ceremonies once that is in March. So I would love to hear all your thoughts about it. Let me know in the comments and the like. Oh, one last thing. I'll close out on this. All right. AMC has been doing a lot of interesting stuff when it comes to their promotions of movies. The biggest and easiest thing to do is to create this popcorn bucket. They'll always create popcorn buckets to celebrate the major movie releases. When Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness came out, they did this awesome kind of like cube that looks like something that Doctor Strange formed and formulated. They did something with Transformers where it was like Optimus Prime's head, or it was the truck. They always come up with some of the coolest popcorn buckets out there. If you have a favorite popcorn bucket, by all means, let me know in the comments, because there are just so many unique ideas behind those things. And then I saw what they're working on for Dune 2. And the first thing that came to mind is, man, if we lived in an age where porn theaters were still a thing, this would be the next hot ticket item, because look at this mess. This is the Dune Part 2 popcorn bucket. What is going on here? That is...
Wow.
All I could think about is the SNL skit Dick in a Box. Because could you imagine? Could you imagine someone going so far into doing something like that with this popcorn bucket? This thing is what nightmares are made of. Oh my God. I don't even want to stick my hand in there. Who'd want to? That is terrifying. That is the most terrifying thing I have ever seen. It's like that scene in Flash Gordon, you know, where they have to put their hand in the thing and it's like a trial. That looks like what's happening here. It looks like you're being put on trial. Here's your popcorn. Or is it? How hungry are you? Why wait? Give it a shot. Pass. Major pass for me on this. This is terrifying. But you know what? This sucker is going to sell like gangbusters. Let's look at some of the comments here. I love butter popcorn. Oh, well, good for you, Elizabeth. I'm sure the replies will be chill and mature to this. Wrong. Hard to open. I don't know what's going on there. How was that? Yeah, well, see, yeah, it does look like a fleshlight. I will have to say. I likes my popcorn Saltburny.
Wow.
I'm gonna come.
Yep. Gonna ask Lauren Boebert to see this movie. Hey-oh!
I'm gonna come.
Oh, Bailey, just straight out. I'm gonna fuck it. I'm gonna use the cum from my penis as butter.
I'm gonna come.
Wow. This should be considered a marketing war crime. Dune heads, is this a lore accurate Dune hole? Oh my god. It goes on and on. The popcorn fuck it. It's the internet had a field day with this, and I don't blame them. I mean, this is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I don't know who thought this was a great idea. I don't know who thought that there'll be no backlash behind this all. But yeah, there you go. Let me know. Is the Dune popcorn bucket something you're going to get for yourself or for a loved one? Let me know in the comments. But with all that said, I'm going to head out for this morning, y'all. Thank you again for tuning in. Again, I am excited for Ghostbusters. I hope you are too. Let me know if you're tuning in on the replay, how excited you are about Ghostbusters or any of the topics that we talked about in this morning's episode, in this morning's stream. Thank you again for all the support and all the love. If you haven't done so yet, don't forget, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. If you want to stay up to date with all of the stuff and craziness and shenanigans that we do here on the channel, you get, and then make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified every time something is posted there. If you want to listen to us on podcast, that's me and my buddy Blake on the Movie Time podcast. Check out on your podcast platform of choice, the Low Key Geek channel there, where you could find the Movie Time podcast. And we have new episodes that upload every Sunday there. So all that said, out of the way, have an amazing week ahead. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. I will see you all again here on the channel on Wednesday morning. What news we're going to be talking about then? Who knows? We'll see. But until next time, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. I will catch you all then. Peace out, everybody. Bye. And my thing crashed. Oh, well. Goodbye. Good old Streamlabs. Woo! Let's go. This is closing out music. Yeah. Watch that train going down the track in the ugly weather. Goodbye.